the $1 Million Mortgage Experience podcast. Hey everybody, welcome to today's episode. I'm here with Anthony Karnezis. He's an entrepreneur, thrill seeker, and philanthropist who shares his life experiences through memoirs and podcasts, hoping to inspire others to persevere through challenges and find their purpose. He's joined today by his twin brother, Anthony. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's good
So
to
you
be
guys
here.
drove in on Harleys today, yeah?
Yes, sir.
And where are you coming in from?
We came in from Sedona, and 7-hour drive, or ride, I should say. And it was pretty epic day, right?
Yeah, a little warm.
Yeah?
It was nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
High wind.
It's funny because you're on the open road in the middle of the desert, and you're going 80, 90 miles an hour, just kind of cruising.
Yeah.
And that's when you think you're moving. But then you get into San Diego, and if you're not going 100 miles an hour, people are passing you like you're standing still. I mean, it's
Jeez.
crazy down here.
Us San Diegans, man, we love to drive fast.
I know, I love it.
This town
So it
is the
gets really
fastest
exciting.
town I've ever been in my life.
I think, isn't Los Angeles a little faster or a little quicker?
I've been in LA and Las Vegas, and they're both very high paced. But San Diego is, you have to be pushing triple digits.
Man.
Otherwise, you're a hazard on the road. And when you're on a
Yeah.
bike, you don't want to be a hazard.
No.
You have to be the one passing on a motorcycle. You have to. So
You
you're
have to.
pushing 105, 110,
Jeez.
just
That's my natural state anyway.
just to be safe.
I'd rather be passing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it was a fun ride.
And when you're riding versus driving, you're not getting text messages. You're not checking,
Full
you're not-
meditational state. Just
it's like Zen, right? It's like
Yeah.
zoning out and just, you got the road.
hyper focus. You're looking at your mirrors, looking at the cars, you're looking at obstacles, you're looking 400 yards up and 4 inches up and scanning it's just a constant
Is it tiring or is it stimulating?
both.
It's stimulating when it's happening. And then when you get to like last night, we got to the Airbnb and I was toast. I
Toast,
ate
yep.
a
Yeah.
ton of chicken and just went straight to bed. It was
Yeah, it's pretty much how it is. You're on the bike. You're like, this is amazing. 8 hours later, this is still amazing. And then you park it and it's like, oh my God,
yeah.
it's time to lay down.
It hits you.
Yeah. Wow. Any close calls? I mean, I'm sure you see people like texting and driving, which has got to be so annoying, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
they're not paying attention, and that's almost worse than someone falling asleep or drinking and driving. Like, it's got to be bad.
I don't recommend that you buy a motorcycle unless you are sharp as a razor blade. Like I've had no close calls because I've been on top of my own game.
Mm-hmm.
If we can see the cars that are, you pass people, they're just sitting there staring at their phones, and you see what's happening out there.
Yeah.
And we have little one-word shouts. Check means there's something in the road. Side means there's a car coming up. So we have little quick
six.
communication bits that we can
Like
say
a-
to each
Yeah,
other.
we keep our
Two-way
comms on.
radio.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we'll chat. We'll do a lot of chatting when we ride
That's
together.
cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Maybe planning a business model of some sort.
Lots
Oh,
of
that's
business
cool.
goes down on the
Yeah.
bikes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about, your story, because that's why you're here. You guys are fascinating guys. I mean, crazy story. I love, the depth of your story. It's not just, you just did the right thing. You were in the right place at the right time. You became successful. You guys have some dark side to your story. You've got some depth, and just love to hear, you can start as early as you want, but I know at a young age, you guys had some hardships. So you want to shoot it off?
Yeah, you want to take a run with it, or?
Oh man, I wouldn't even know where to begin, honestly. Yeah, it was a fun run.
I'd say there's a dark side to the story. Luckily, though, there's a dark side to me too, and there was a time when I was embracing it. But yeah, we had the upbringing was rough. Raised with the street code. My dad, repeat offender, always in prison. Raised us with prison rules. Mom never around, working 2 jobs. Right, so even before the real chaos, we were already kind of in this world. I remember I tattletailed on my older brother one time. He was out back taking a bong rip. And this was when I was young, and I really thought that weed could kill you.
Well,
right?
weed was a drug back then.
Yeah, I was
now
like,
it's legal, but
yeah.
Yeah.
I was worried sick about my older brother. And
Yeah.
I came inside and I was like, Dad, Nick's outside and he's hitting the bong right now. He's going to die. I was scared to death.
How old are you?
I was probably in 3rd grade.
yeah, we're
Okay.
about
Like, I know weed
I think
doesn't kill
third
you.
graders think, yeah.
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 It's a drug. You're going to die.
Yeah.
We had the
was
DARE
so-
program back then, so
Right,
we
right.
had cops at school teaching us to
Yeah, use your brain on drugs. It's like a frying pan.
Yeah,
You're like,
exactly. That's how we grew up. Like Nick's brain, So I go and I tattletale, and my dad bends down to my level, and he's like, "Come here, real quick." And I come over, and he just reaches back and just knocks me across the jaw so hard it was just like a white light flashed. My ears were ringing.
Whoa.
And he was like, "Don't you ever fucking snitch on your brother again."
Wow.
And that was like lesson number 1. Okay. See no evil, speak no evil, hear no evil, right? Mm-hmm. So, we had already, there was that side of life. And then parents go to prison. We end up homeless on the streets. The foster system was awful. And
it seems like a lot of the growing up with that kind of foundation was just almost just preparatory. It was, I'm sure that in the back of their minds, at some point, they must have known there was a good chance that we'd be growing up without them. Because it's not like they were going to church on Sundays. They were dropping off bags on Sundays.
Was there ever like times where the cops would just show up, and so you kind of had this feeling that things were gonna like at any moment volatile, or no? You just knew that there was danger, kind of, right?
No.
Okay.
We until everything hit the fan, we thought, like, we knew our mom was struggling with 2 jobs, and we knew that my dad was an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And we thought he was in the cattle business, and they would buy small cows and pump them full of steroids for a year or 2 and sell big cows or something. That's what we thought was going on.
That's what he told us. Yeah, he was in the cattle business.
But the cow must have been a bag, and then stepping on it must have been the injections. I don't know. Right. I have no idea. I've never asked.
Used code word when they interesting.
We've never actually sat down with them and talked about what was really what. But obviously when you get your house raided.
Yeah,
you put it together.
So talk about that, because in your book you talk about the FBI raided your house.
Yeah, DEA.
And
DEA came in at 2:00 in the morning. So there was a snitch, and they set my mom up on a false deal, right? So she was gone. They didn't get her from the house. She was out doing her deal, and they got her, and then they came and raided the house after the fact. And so they come in. We didn't even hear them enter.
Was it just you two and your older brother at the time?
Nick was there. We shared a room at the time. Yeah. And my older brother was across the hall.
Light clicks on. You hear, shh, you might scare him. That's like what I remember woke me up at 2 a.m. Like, what? Shh, you might scare him. That's some deep voice in my bedroom talking about scaring me. What the hell's going on? Anthony's like, fuck you. Like, I think he thought it was Nick's.
Yeah, Nick had friends and stuff. I just was like,
And you guys were like 7th grade at the time? Or
7th grade. Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, wow, 7th. Yeah.
And so they come in.
They came in, they pull us out of the house, throw us in the back of the cop car. We were in the back of the cop car till sunrise, suffocating. I mean, there's no oxygen in there. It was plastic seats. It's not all soft and cushiony like this. They're hard plastic seats, and then plexiglass. So like on the movies, you see like a metal cage. That'd be nice to have some oxygen. Right. But in Ocean View in the 90s, it was plexiglass, and so we were like in a plastic box. Jeez. And just no oxygen, no nothing. And because we were locked in the car, the cops didn't care. They weren't coming to check on us and offer us snacks or water or pillows and blankets. It's 2 in the morning. We're dead tired. Or anything. Yeah. So we just sat there until the sun came up, and somebody came in. The next door neighbor came out and like let us stay with her. And then immediately, as soon as we woke up, kicked us out.
What were you guys thinking at that moment? Like with getting in the back of a car, someone raiding your house, did you think, well, my parents did something wrong, or what was the thought?
Yeah. I kind of knew. I kind of had my finger on the pulse. My dad had been incarcerated 6 months prior, and we used to joke that we could hear clicks on the phone when we do, because we were still talking on home line. We had a twin phone back then where you could take them and split them, and we'd talk to friends and stuff. And we remember always joking around that we could hear clicks and stuff. And I remember even talking to the cops, like, "Hey, it's just me talking to my buddies, and
don't mess with us."
But it was all just a game, I didn't really realize the severity, and I didn't realize, that it was gonna be a long run for my dad, because he had been in and out 6 months here, 7 months, a year there. I didn't know it was gonna be a long run, and but yeah, by the time the cops were there that night, my mom didn't come home, and we pretty much knew that it was gonna be a long road.
And let the record show that when we got the court documents, we found out the house was indeed tapped.
Yeah,
those clicks were real.
Oh, really?
And they were listening to us for months.
Wow. Yeah, there was actually helicopters too, and I remember even seeing helicopters all the time and thinking how cool it was, because you don't always see them out there. It's always the big military. We're from
there
Norfolk,
for us.
so.
Yeah, you're pretending like like you're Rambo. Or something.
So it's like they were actually. I'm looking at them. They're looking at me.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, it was. But
And so you went to live with some neighbors, is what you said?
No.
No.
She put us to sleep on a big pile of dirty clothes in her kitchen.
Really?
And then after a few hours, she was like, our neighbor just so happened to be my mom's best friend's mom, who lived a couple miles down the road. And so she was in the morning. She was like, "All right, guys, go see Susan."
Oh wow! And so you went and lived with her, or what?
For a week.
And
that's in the book too. She was an accomplice with my parents.
Yeah.
Her house got raided. So we lived through 2 DEA raids in 1 week.
Yeah.
We lose
Same
everything.
officers.
Really?
Lose
same
everything
guys,
again.
same agents.
Yeah.
Wow.
Back then, I know the guy that headed up was Agent Campbell. I remember him. But
Yeah,
he's
Agent
the only one I
Campbell.
remember.
That sounds like something in a movie, out of a movie. Campbell, Mr. Campbell.
He's in my book as Hernandez. I changed everybody's names, obviously, but yeah, Mr. Campbell.
You just gave it away.
He was
Sorry.
He was a pivotal guy. He was
he?
because he
we
showed
saw
up
him later.
He showed up in our lives a few times and let us go.
Yeah.
Wow.
Let us get away with some stuff
Just knew
that
you'd
would
been
have
through
put us
some
in.
hardship.
Yeah.
Well, he heard our phone calls.
Yeah.
We're talking to friends, we're crying about our dad and stuff. Like, he's listening to us. Like, he knows we're just children.
Yeah, you had
trying
a
to
hard-
ride bikes. We're planning bike rides and meetups. It's
Yeah.
like-
Wow.
Go to the jungle gym. Like,
Yeah.
so like a year later, he catches us in a coke bust at some crazy drug house, like a trap house. Pulls everybody out, arrests everybody, lets us go. Says he doesn't want to make a career out of locking up Karnezis.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Man.
Uh,
Sounds like he was a good dude. I mean, if he
think he
impacted your
was.
life, right? I mean,
Yeah, I think he was a good dude. And DEA especially, they have to know that they're just sort of pawns to this government propaganda bullshit. I mean, the war on drugs is not my dad slanging meth in the hood,
No.
right? The war
So
on
bigger.
drugs,
So much bigger
coming
than
in
that.
by
It's
the
the
metric
container
ton.
ships.
Yeah.
It's the borders.
You want to arrest these ghetto people? Like my dad used to change his own transmissions. Like, he wasn't out spending money, and that's who they're attacking. And so at the end of the day, the DEA agent that let us go was probably just like, this is all a joke. I ruined this family for nothing. They're just small time peddlers.
Yep.
And like, this isn't even the war we signed up for. I imagine they have to have thoughts like that. If not,
100%. I mean, the war was never won, right? It's just been going on and on and on, and now they're starting to legalize the stuff and keeping people locked up that are locked up for
Right.
stuff that's legalized.
everybody that was that locked up for selling dope, they should all be out of jail for weed. Anybody
Right.
selling weed should be released. Stuff like that.
But they didn't do it, right?
No.
It's still the. Geez,
Yeah.
that sucks. So your dad wasn't really like a drug kingpin per se.
He was. No, I
Okay.
wouldn't say he was small time. But compared to the metric
Yeah, he didn't
tons
have to
coming
Right.
into the United
And
States,
the fentanyl that comes in from
and-
China, whatever,
yeah,
Mexico.
like all the things happening, even if my dad had to go, you could have left his wife and kids alone. Yeah, my
Sure.
mom might have. Apparently, she had to pick up the tab on some debts when my dad got locked up, and the dealers were threatening to kill my older brother or us if the debt wasn't paid. So apparently, my mom was working that debt down. All things that the DEA would have known from listening to phone calls and stuff like that. It seems like, I guess you don't get to pick your battles when you're an agent. You kind of have to go with the bus that's put in front of you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And sometimes it's like what makes headline news, right? Or what
Yeah.
makes like the story and your boss give you a raise or
Yeah.
Yeah, what gets the department funding?
right.
Yeah. But
True.
he did have a really cool nationwide operation that he set up when he was in La Tuna. And
I think
all
that's a
the
New Mexico
maximum
prison.
Yeah, maximum security prison where it was college for him. And he goes in there, puts together this amazing scheme, gets all these amazing business partners because everybody in there is brilliant mastermind criminals.
Wow.
And
you
he
said
gets
this is
out.
in Mexico?
This was
New
in
Mexico.
New Mexico.
Oh, New
I'm
Mexico.
pretty sure it was New Mexico.
It's called La Tuna.
I was a little kid when he
Okay.
was.
And so he gets out, and everything that he mapped out while he was in there with these experts, he put together. And so he did have a nationwide operation smuggling, drugs across the country from Ocean View, Virginia, all the way to Sacramento, down into Dallas, Texas, Oklahoma. I mean, they were everywhere. It was a pretty amazing and elaborate
I think the
operation.
initial bust, I think they grabbed 42 people that night.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was
Something I don't
it's
know the
interesting-
exact details.
It's an interesting story. I'd love to write a book just about his drug operation because it was pretty amazing. And they would have never got caught if there wasn't a snitch in the group. It was the operation was secure. It was just
I think the guy wanted a green card.
the guy Jack it was just, you can't help it when you have that in the group. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It would make a great Netflix show.
Right? It'd be pretty cool. Yeah, it'd be cool.
I just watched that Griselda. I don't know if you saw that.
I saw that. That was awesome.
It was awesome. Yeah.
His would be way better than hers.
Oh,
yeah.
dude.
I don't know if
you got to write it. You got to write it.
I
Blowing
haven't seen
people
that
up.
one yet. I've been wanting to.
It was good. I mean, the thing about Netflix is they like all the murder and all the cartel slit throats and car bombings and stuff. Like,
right.
My dad that would just be like a true entrepreneurial journey. You know, it was. I'd like to believe he wasn't chopping heads off. So he put together a pretty amazing operation that is something to be celebrated as far as just the operation itself. Now, unfortunately, it was drugs. Yeah. I don't condone that. I've had enough friends die from overdoses to where it's like I do understand why the war on that exists, but the operation itself was pretty amazing.
Wow. Yeah. Sounds like I look forward to reading that.
Yeah. Yep.
So you guys were then homeless for a little bit?
Yeah, we bounced around. Yeah, we tried a few places. We were there was a few options. You know, we tried living with our grandparents initially. But then my grandfather passed away very short after. And then so at that point, once that happened, we were kind of free spirits for real. You know, and so we tried staying at people's houses here and there, and then sometimes it just wouldn't work out, and then we'd have a few more weeks where we'd just be kind of floating. Sleeping in garages and McDonald's playpens and just wherever.
Under the balls.
Yeah. Well, under the balls is actually the coldest because the trampoline, the draft comes up all night long up on the trampoline. So you're warmer to climb up the slide and sleep in one of the bubbles. Oh, wow. Up there. We figured that out pretty quick.
Jeez.
Yeah. But initially the balls was what I was thinking because you cover yourself up.
And they can't find you.
No one can find you. You're completely hidden. You can sleep comfortably. And it just turned out to be a horrible idea.
It's like so cold, man.
So cold.
He claimed it too. He was like, I got the balls.
Yeah.
And so he dives in. He's like, tell me where my feet are hidden. And he like puts his feet sideways. I'm like, yeah, you're totally hidden. And then I crawl up into the shelter and I'm sleeping like a baby. It's like 5 a.m. the next day. We get up. He's like, how'd you sleep, bro? He's like,
I was up all night. It's freezing.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And then did you guys end up getting an apartment at some point? I think I
we got an apartment.
Yeah, that was later. That was a few years later. We had an apartment for high school.
Was that something you guys paid for yourself? Like you guys had little jobs or something, or
no? We
kind of jumped into our dad's entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah, we sold drugs.
Okay.
Yeah, and we saved up enough to get the apartment, and then we kind of didn't know what to do next because we wanted to go to high school. So we're like enrolling in school, trying to go to classes, trying to figure out how to make money to pay rent. We're in a new town. We didn't have like a whole lot of.
What town was that?
Sacramento.
Okay.
We ended up from Virginia to Sacramento.
What year was that?
That was in the mid 90s.
Yeah.
Late 90s.
And then we met a drug dealer, and he was like, "Hey, if you let me put a safe in your apartment with all my drugs and money in it, I'll furnish your apartment and pay your rent for you."
Wow.
We're like, dude, this is.
I mean, it's basically the safe house. Like you're the mark at that point. Like you're the guy. You're the fall guy. It's like a mule, you know.
Right.
And we knew the play, but we also didn't care.
We were just like trying to survive. At that
we
point.
were under 18.
We really wanted to graduate high school.
Yeah.
And you can't have a job and go to school and do homework and have a social life because we also wanted friends and girlfriends and like everything else too.
To be have a normal childhood, which you. We're so far away from it that at that point
we never had it. Once we lost our childhood, it never came back. That's for sure. But
wow, you had to grow up real fast. Yeah,
I have more of a childhood now just because I have so many fun hobbies.
Yeah,
so.
You can pay for them now.
Yeah.
And so I heard. I think I don't know if it was in the book or not, but that you had. I don't know if it was dropped out of school, but you didn't finish high school, and then you were able to get into SLO, Cal Poly.
Yeah, we didn't graduate
high school.
You what?
Yeah.
We didn't finish high school. We ended up going to jail for armed robbery.
Wow.
Our senior year. We were so close. And
it was second semester.
In Sacramento?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Like I said
earlier. It's a tough place. Sacramento's a tough place.
Jeez.
Yeah, if you got to go, it was an easy transition to go from the ghettos of Virginia to the ghettos of Sacramento. Very easy transition. But,
Yep.
But yeah, there was a darkness inside of us that matched the life we were living. And so it was nothing to take this gun and go and do a home invasion and try to, get some extra spending money for ourselves. And I don't know, it's kind of a long story around it because it wasn't as much of a selfish sort of robbery situation. That's just what they threw at us.
The dude was a bad guy.
Yeah, it was a horrible dude.
Also make some money.
Yeah, we were shutting down
You were robbing a criminal, basically.
Well, we were in high school.
Trying to run him out of town.
We were in high school, and we were being supplied our drugs from a 45-year-old gay guy that was popping ecstasy down kids' throats and taking advantage of them and molesting boys.
Oh, shit.
And so we were running him out of town. But
I respect
got
that.
Yeah, and we got caught. We got him out of town, though, by the way.
Good.
Yeah, he never showed his face again. But we did get caught, and we did go to jail for that.
Wow.
And so that's why we didn't graduate high school. So then you fast forward to trying to make something of myself. As soon as we get out of jail, we go to adult education and get our GEDs. Just real quick. Yeah. We just test out. It was like a super easy test.
You take a month-long class because we had done so much high school. So we took a month refresher, and then, we tested out, and then we had a GED.
And then try to get in college, which instant denial. And then I actually emailed, I found the guy. But yeah, get denied, go hunt this guy down for a week straight. I go into his office. I go in his office.
You can't deny me.
Yeah.
I'm going to find you.
I was like, I want to talk to the president of admissions, please. And the secretary's like, he's booked solid. So I went back the next day, and she was like, he can't see you. And I waited in the waiting room. I was like, well, maybe in between appointments. But it was like he was just back to back to back. The dude was busy. And so finally, after 4 days, and I was charming, this woman behind the counter. Mm-hmm. And finally, she's like, look, honey, here's the deal. He has lunch every day from 12 to 1. And he's usually back at his desk for the last 15 minutes. He likes to sit in silence before his meetings start again. And she was like, maybe if you sneak in here around 12:45, I can ask him if he could see you for a minute. And you could just sneak in between appointments. And I was like, worth a shot. So it's that Friday. I go in there, 12:45. As soon as I walk in, she looks at me, gives me a big old smile, runs into the back. And she comes out like a proud mom. And she was like, oh, my God, he'll see you. He'll see you. She was so happy. And so she escorts me to the back. And, after a 15-minute conversation with him, I was a student at Cal Poly.
What'd you say?
I was really rough around the edges back then, and you could still see the pain in my face. As like this young, successful, well, I don't know if I'm young anymore, but as this like successful, happy person, I probably don't carry as much of the pain on my face as I used to carry. But I mean, you could see it. So I go in, I'm stoned out of my mind. My eyes are definitely bloodshot. And I have a conversation about how I'm alone and I need to get my life in track. Parents in prison, grew up homeless. GED, like this is my salvation. This is
like,
how.
Give me a shot kind of thing.
Yeah. And and he did it. And it, I looked him up last year, and I wanted to send him a thank you. And so I looked him up, and it turns out that he actually came into Cal Poly with the aim of changing the admission process and giving more chances out, and like trying to find a way to gauge a kid's success in college, not just based on their GPA.
Interesting.
And so I just like perfect timing, perfect college, perfect guy to talk to. Like you couldn't have asked for a better setup, and it just worked out in my favor.
Yeah, the stars aligned.
Yeah,
that's cool. I have twins that are 18 and they're going off to college, and so we had to just deal with all that. And it's a tough thing to try to get it. It's stressful. Like
to try to get into college.
What's that?
Did they choose the same college?
Different colleges.
Wow.
One's going to Nashville. One's staying here. Got into USD, which is hard school to get into. It's even harder nowadays. I mean, but I mean, yeah. So one thing that stood out in your story there was that, it seemed like you were charming the what was it, the secretary?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I kind of resonate with that because in my growing up, I had to do a lot of that just to kind of get to where I wanted to go in life, or break through kind of barriers and stuff. You have to kind of like, get people to like you, right? And talk to us about how that has played a role in your success, and how you kind of adopted that. Is it acting, or is it just something that comes natural, or is it something you have to like turn on when you meet somebody?
That's a good question. And I think a good one for me too, because we build our businesses together. Mm-hmm. He's ex-military. He runs back in operations structure. He turns a 2-week process into a 2-day process. He's the reason we can make more and more and more and more money. But on the front lines, I run the sales side. And I've always been really good at it. And the thing about my charm is it's extremely authentic.
Mm-hmm.
It's extremely heartfelt, and I mean every word of it. And so when I meet people, and even if it's a sales call and I'm sitting down talking to somebody, I really connect with that person energetically, and I ask personal questions, but I mean it, and people share stories with me. I'll get teary-eyed with them. Like, I've been in sales calls talking about, a woman telling me about her husband's dementia, and I've had people telling me about their divorces, and like, we share these stories and we close these deals. That's important. Always have the end goal in mind. Even with that woman, I needed to get to the president of admissions to get into school, and so, but it's never been a manipulation tactic. And I think
that's cool.
It had to have come from growing up. You grow. It's a necessity.
Yeah.
I don't have.
It's
I
a
can't
survival
hide,
technique.
Yeah, I can't hide behind my successful parents and meet their connections and be a part of this ongoing legacy of my family. Like, I can't.
Right.
So yeah, it's survival.
And we came up when Southern hospitality wasn't dead yet.
That's true.
We were raised to open doors and
yes, ma'am, yes,
greet
sir.
people. Yeah, be polite. And,
Yeah, I miss that.
it was just kind of like a way of life.
Yep.
Even in our darkest days, Lord knows what we might have been up to that night. But the next morning at breakfast, we'd open the door for a lady walking in front of us. Or,
Yeah.
So
that's cool. Great. Yeah. Great. It's a great skill to have, and even better when it comes naturally and genuinely.
Yeah.
I remember when I was getting into the mortgage business, 27, 28 years ago, I went to, I think at the time it was the local bookstore, maybe it was Barnes and Nobles or whatever it was called back then. And I went to the self-help book rack, and I found a book that said How to Get Anyone to Do Anything. That was the title of the book, right? I just was like, oh yeah, this seems like a great book to read. I thumbed through it real quick. And then I, had a couple other books. I think it was like Mortgage for Dummies or something like that. And I went up and I was checking out, and the nice old lady behind the counter looks at me. She looks at the book, and then she looks at me and she goes, "You be careful with this book, son." I was like, okay, I don't even know what's in it, but yeah. I think that, charm and just being genuine when you are talking, especially with sales, it shouldn't be acting. It shouldn't be something that you have to like turn on. Although sometimes you just kind of have to turn on, you can't be like, it's just like anything. When you wake up in the morning, you can choose to be in a bad mood, or you can choose to be in a good mood. So you can choose to be in a good mood when you deal with people, and then let those natural, genuine things occur. Right. So that's kind of my take on it. So what made you want to write a book?
I want to help people. My life has gone in chunks. Early on in life, it was survival. And then it was like business. Me and Anthony, we were working 14-hour days when we built our first business, our mortgage business.
Mm-hmm.
We were working 14 hours a day. We'd wake up super early and start calling, the East Coast, and then work super late calling Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
We'd run through all the
time zones.
All the time
we hit
zones.
them all every day.
And we were just all work. And then we started getting the wealth. And then it was like, okay, diversify, build this, put money here, real estate. It's all been this and that. And now I'm at a point where, for me, I just want to have more impact. I just want to help people. There's somebody out there who is young and is going through the same emotions I was going through, and is fully capable of building something amazing for themselves, but maybe they don't know that yet. Mm-hmm. They haven't figured it out, stepped into their power yet or something.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wrote for 90%, I wrote for that kid. And then 10% I wrote for the people I've lost along the way, to give them I wanted my grandfather and this girl, Audrey, in the book, I wanted them to be brought back to life, a little bit of that. And I have got some more people for the next book that I want to also discuss that really deserve shining light on how beautiful they were as human beings and as souls, whether it was a short-lived life that was flushed out for the stupidest reasons.
Yep.
And so there's a little bit of that in there, but mainly to help.
It's cool.
Yeah.
So as you can imagine, there's millions of books, right? And how hard is it to get it seen, to get it noticed, to get kind of that take a book viral or to get your book out there. Cause the intention is to help a lot of people. Right.
Yeah.
And of course, if you help one or two people, it's amazing, but like to get that story into all the hands, maybe foster kids or maybe, kids that are struggling, like,
and the parents.
how do you do that?
Yeah.
And the parents.
I want to sell millions of copies. And in order to do that, it's just going to cost money.
Yeah.
It's and then there's a whole other side. I've got these 2 middle schools that want me to come talk to their kids.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably going to go. I'm not going to get paid for any of that, but I'll go talk to these kids at the middle school, leave a few books.
Our first middle school.
Yeah, the middle school that's in the book, Northside, they want me to come talk to them.
That's cool.
So there's like all this cool stuff happening that'll help get the word out. And then you hire a publicist,
Yep.
The business side of it. This is a passion project.
Right.
So it's hard for me to talk about the business side of it with much excitement because that's not what it's for.
Yeah.
But I really do want to sell millions of copies. So I am going to go with a publicist. I have one that I've already hired. We're starting soon. I wanted to do the initial launch organically and just see what my network did.
Mm-hmm.
And so I put it on my Instagram and told all my best friends about it and shared it with some people on some podcasts. And, I dumped 300 books real quick,
Mm-hmm.
which isn't a lot. It's not a lot of
How many
impact.
did you print first round?
No, Kindle. Kindle is
It's on Kindle.
Yeah, you it's on Amazon, but it's called Kindle Direct. So what happens is you order the book, and the same day you order it, they print it and ship it. And so I pay a little bit more per book.
Really, with the cover and everything.
Yeah.
And it looks good too.
Drop, ship, print, everything.
Just done.
They got it together.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
pretty cool because, I was reaching out to binderies and I was going to buy like 100,000 books. But paper molds
Yep.
and starts to stink and it has to be maintained at certain temperatures and sealed the proper way. And it just became this situation where I was like, okay, do I really want to have a garage full of books and me have to go to UPS every single day?
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't worth it. Not for the impact I want. If I want to sell millions of books, I can't be managing it in a shed, And
Right,
so
right.
it just Kindle was the way to go. It's pretty
That's
amazing.
cool.
Yeah.
Very good. I didn't even realize that was
Yeah, it's pretty
option.
cool.
What's the title mean? Golden Scissors.
Golden Scissors is a pivot point of when we went from sort of victim survivor, like we were kind of like in this one mode, and then we transformed.
Once we embraced it.
Yeah, it's when we
We
transformed.
were in the
over.
situation we were in,
Yeah.
and if you don't embrace it, what are you gonna do?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
So
Have you heard of Amor Fati?
no.
It's a part of like the meditations, the Stoicism, and that means basically like love your fate, embrace it. And I've taught my daughter and son that from when they're little. It's like, look, you can't change the situation. You got to just,
yeah,
because, I love your guys' story because you probably wouldn't. I'm going to guess you're going to say you wouldn't change a thing.
Yeah, I'm sure it wouldn't.
would not.
Like if you could go back with a time machine and stop the robberies or stop, all those things, jail, like you wouldn't change it.
Couldn't.
I mean, obviously you probably have a couple things.
There's one thing I'd change, yeah.
But
I
like
wouldn't change anything else but that one thing.
But overall, like your life path was something that you guys have now, you've loved your fate. Like you have a more fati in your life. Like I'm a cancer survivor. I went through some crazy hard shit in my life and I would not change a thing. If I could push a button and I still have a problem with my leg, I've got to deal with it every day. And it's not, I can't do certain things, but I wouldn't change a thing in my life. And I love that about
Awesome.
that you guys have the same mentality because it's who you are, right?
I think the beautiful thing is looking back, and when you go through all the stuff we've gone through, and you're going through cancer, and like these are all so traumatic and like such mental, battles that you have to go through that take time to get through.
Mm-hmm.
When you look back, it's so clear the divine presence of all those moments. Like they were not an accident. They were there for a reason, for lessons you had to have, and for experiences that you get to embrace now for the better.
Right.
And I mean, we find joy in the simplest things. Like, yeah, we rode our Harleys here, and that was pretty amazing.
Yeah,
And
like a roller coaster for 8 hours.
but I mean, I could go just look at the stars. Like, it doesn't matter. I find so much gratitude in the simplest things, and I think that's a blessing too.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. So from your life stories, kind of like low income housing trouble to Lamborghini.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
kinda
I was
like,
a
you know,
McLaren guy over
McLaren.
here.
You're a McLaren.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have a Lamborghini?
Yeah.
All right. Well, like supercar, right? So like shit to supercar, right? It's like,
Yeah.
that's a pretty cool success story. Talk about kind of what that feels like and why you guys went into the supercar route.
So I'll let you talk because you got the dihedral doors and it was super fun and exciting. But I will say, as homeless kids growing up, I think the most important, the most exciting thing that ever happened was when I bought my Southern California mansion and he bought his beach house, right? So we have that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That we can't, but the cars, though, were just toys.
But
to be able to afford a car like
it's
that,
amazing.
I mean,
that was nothing.
Most people don't just go out and buy a Lamborghini without owning a house. And, some
Yeah.
people do,
Yeah.
to flex and all that. But you usually can afford.
You should have a garage for it.
Right, you got to park it
and own it.
Yeah. Yeah. You should be able to buy some Lamborghini shoes too,
Yeah.
They made a tequila Lamborghini.
Yeah,
They have a tequila now.
Yep.
I haven't tried it yet. I don't have no idea how good it is. But
It's probably amazing.
That's great.
if they make great cars, they're probably going to
Yeah.
care about their tequila.
It's probably amazing.
It probably is. So what does that feel like going from
It's surreal. We naturally migrated to daydreaming when we were younger. And we always had rob reports and DuPont registries, and we would make collages. And even when we were homeless, you might see a magazine folded in half in my back pocket, and that was probably a rob report or a DuPont registry. And even if I was hiding in the bushes and sleeping in the dirt, or if we were breaking into a garage to lay down for the night, like there's a good chance I might have been flipping through looking at Lamborghinis and Ferraris on my way to bed and daydreaming about a man.
Wow.
I could see a picture of a mansion in a book and then close my eyes and that's where I would be living that night and sleeping that night.
Wow.
And it was just natural. Just daydreaming was just a easy escape, and why not want more? And so I think from cutting out Ferraris and Lamborghinis and keeping little pictures on us and talking about it, not knowing if it would ever happen, and daydreaming about a future where that was possible, even though it was from where we were in Ocean View at that time and the life we were living, it really was impossible. It's not possible. The fact that it happened means we're just in another dimension right now, if you ask me.
Yeah.
But, it did happen, so it is possible. But at that point, it was just daydreaming, and it was just a way to go to sleep with a smile.
Yeah.
And then to circle back, I even have a picture of Eric standing next to a Lamborghini a long time ago. We were walking by a car show or something and took a picture next to a Lamborghini, and so to actually have, I think it was more of a bucket list thing to why it was bought in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Doors.
It's kind of like how Gary Vaynerchuk wants to buy the jets.
Yep, exactly.
You heard that
he
story?
always talks about that. Yeah,
and it's because he couldn't even afford a jersey.
Yep.
It's like it's such a cool dream, right? And have you guys ever seen the movie or the show The Secret or the documentary The Secret?
Yeah,
back
So-
in 2005 or something. Yeah,
When I saw that back in 2005, I was like, whoa, I've been doing this my whole life. Like I had collages and pictures up on my wall things that I wanted to do or accomplish. And I imagine that was how it was for you guys when you saw The Secret. You're probably like, what? This is a secret? I knew it. No,
yeah, this ain't no secret.
Yeah. It's like something that you just had. And I think part of that probably could be the daydreaming. Like I was a daydreamer when I was a kid. I don't know why, but just always thinking about other things. I hated school.
Yeah.
But, I just didn't feel like it was relevant to me. I always wanted to do something on my own. I was on my own. But like when you saw that movie, The Secret, and you kind of put two and two together, you probably were like, what? Like, this is how my life has been. Like, right? Because in 2005, you guys had
let me tell you about The Secret. We watched The Secret. I remember it vividly. It was such a horrible, but we watched The Secret after we had lost our mortgage company.
Oh shit!
It's so funny.
We had lost our house.
07 or something.
We lost our house, lost our cars, lost everything. We were living at my ex-girlfriend's house, which was a shithole because they were going to tear it down into a rebuild. So they let us squat in their house before they tore it down. Very sweet of them.
They gave us their house for
but we were in this like dark, dingy living room with old furniture on this little TV, like laid back, watching The Secret. Like, where did we go wrong?
We thought we had climbed out. We're here. We got the house, the income, the cars, and all of a sudden it was like goodbye to everything.
Check.
And now we're watching The Secret in a dilapidated house that belongs to a friend.
Yeah, I think that's when I saw it too. Like in 06 06 or
It must have
7.
been 07. Yeah, it was because
Yeah.
now that I remember where I watched it, it wasn't 05. It was 07, which I think is when it first came out.
Yeah, well,
'cause
the book came out before, and
Yeah.
then the
the
documentary.
documentary.
But I remember that, and then your life turned around. But like, it
Yeah.
wasn't because of The Secret, but where you got before that was
No,
probably.
but to your point, yeah,
know,
no,
you know.
exactly. Because it's more than just what we did accidentally. It wasn't just visualizing it. It's like we would accidentally feel gratitude for it, like we owned it. You know, like we
Yeah.
would enjoy being in the mansion, you know, and enjoy
mind,
driving
yeah.
the cars. And like it was like
I was
this.
gonna be able to smile on my face.
Yeah, it was like a feeling, and that is what we attracted in. And you know,
Mm-hmm.
so it's more than just the daydream. You really got to feel it and believe it and be happy for it. you
So
know?
true.
Yeah. So,
Which is crazy because that's actually in the Bible too. Like
Yeah.
it says, like, you know, in the Bible that you pray that it's already happened, and that's a whole other story. But that's cool that you guys experienced that. But then you went through the crash. Did you have to reinvent yourselves? Like what'd you do during the crash to get out of the hole?
Yeah, you know what? Because we were such workaholics, I know for sure I was burned out. When we lost the mortgage company, I was
Yeah, it was
fried.
close, too.
Those 14-hour days, and it was a fight, and God, it must have been a year and a half before we even looked for work.
Yeah, I think for the
either of
next
us.
year and a half, this was back when Craigslist was popular and it was just picking up. And we had at one point like 25 loan officers, and we had computers, and we had a $60,000 printer, and we had all these things. And so I remember we would just once a month trickle some things off of our inventory into Craigslist.
So you could pay for your.
We sold
'cause our rent was
laptops,
paid.
desks, yeah.
And we lost our fancy cars, but we still bought cars. We
Sure.
had cars, so we had everything we actually needed. And so we would get beer and food with computers.
And you guys, for you, it wasn't like that hard because you'd been through way harder.
It was
was
actually
fun.
the easiest it's ever been.
No, it was fun. We had amazing girlfriends at the time, and we would do big dinners. Remember, we would
Yeah.
get like all these ingredients and do like big dinner parties, and just like
That's the one thing we saved from our big house. When we moved into this dilapidated house, we brought our big marble dining table with like 15 leather chairs around it.
Oh, nice.
And we just made sure that we just at least enjoyed company while we were living that life.
we had some amazing times.
I mean, I've heard people say that, you know, you could be the richest person and the most unhappy person. You could be the poorest person and the happiest person. It just depends on who you have around you
Yep.
and what your kind of your mindset is, right?
Absolutely.
So if you have good company around you and you're laughing, you know, having fun, but you know, you don't know where the next meal is going to come. You're just living in the moment.
Yeah. Think about
Health
that
and
when the
love
next meal
is
comes.
true wealth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Health and love. Everything else is
You can't buy
also great too.
You can't
but
buy that true love. Yeah,
Yep.
it's true.
Yep.
So you guys are in a like a fast car club, right? You find community,
Yeah.
like you know other people that drive fast cars too.
Yeah. We wanted to network,
Mm-hmm.
which, you know, and we've always done everything by ourselves. It's always been sort of a two-man team, and we've built great wealth from it. And
cool.
every dollar that we've ever made, we've earned ourselves. And it's been pretty amazing. We thought we'd try the networking thing out. Here's what happens when you network. Everybody wants something from you.
Yeah,
Okay, they're not networking with you to give you anything at all.
true.
Okay, so the networking was fun. Driving fast cars with other people was fun. It was nice to see all the levels. You know, I'd be out there in a $400,000 Lamborghini, and somebody pulls up in their $1 million Lamborghini, and then the next guy
big
pulls
difference.
up in his $2 million, you know, McLaren.
Bugatti or something.
Yeah, it's like all these things, and it's like, okay,
it's
so
super fast.
there's
you know.
levels, and then there's even more levels. We went to the racetrack, and you know, this one kid points out, Anthony wrecked my Lamborghini on the racetrack, by the way.
Oh shit!
Sure did.
Don't give this man a rear-wheel drive car.
Hopefully it was insured.
I went
Yeah.
for it that day.
Yeah.
It was
doing
fine, but he definitely wrecked my car. No big deal. The McLaren was fine.
At the time,
Did you take the title to his McLaren?
Well, at
Yeah.
the time, I was driving a 911 Turbo
Oh
S.
yeah, that's right.
But it was a cabriolet,
Okay.
so you can't track a cabriolet.
no. It's good.
What does that mean? You can't track.
Well, you
A
can't. They don't want
convertible.
drop tops.
You can't put them on the
They
track.
don't want drop
Oh,
tops
God,
out
You
there.
have to have a coupe on the track.
Okay.
But it's a true testament to how amazing the engineering of a Porsche is. Like, this guy couldn't veer that car off the road if his life depended on it, but he can sure as hell take
I've
a
driven the
Lamborghini and hurricane that thing off into the middle of nowhere. So
The Huracan.
yeah, he literally had my shit hurricane.
I hurricaned it. I hurricaned it.
So,
Wow.
yeah, it was pretty fun.
What was going through your mind when that happened? Was it like death, or was it just like, I'm gonna be fine?
Well, I was on a track.
We were on the track.
So I slid off. I went off the track, and then I was in the gravel, and I couldn't see anything because at that point the gravel's going over the car, and yeah, there's smoke and gravel and dust, and I don't see anything. I just know that we're sliding, and there's probably a wall somewhere. And
Were you by yourself?
I had an instructor next to me, which was a buddy that we paraglide with because we're paragliders, and there's some local brothers that are really amazing paragliders, probably the best in San Diego, and one of those brothers is also a race instructor. Randomly enough, and he was
We
there
didn't
that
even know.
day.
We were like,
Yeah.
hey,
I was
I know
like,
you.
I was like, bro,
Yeah.
hop in.
Oh, yeah.
He was regretting that.
So the whole time we're sliding and wrecking, he's in the ear like, it's okay, we're good. Like he's probably done it a million times, And I wasn't scared anyway because we're on a track sliding in the grass. Like,
Yeah. No head on.
Yeah, they didn't
nothing.
hit anything.
And
Just got the car dirty as shit. He comes rolling in there like a cartoon. The car is just dirt, chunks of dirt and dust and gravel everywhere. The windshield covered like it's just a mess. And he comes up and he stops, and all four of the rotors are all the calipers are all smoking. All four sides of
it was so
they
good.
hop the wall. They run over with leaf blowers and they start leaf blowing my calipers, and the car's like smoking. I was like, what the hell? Did
Yeah, this guy, I just looked at Eric and I was just like,
Sorry, dude.
I didn't
Sorry.
care.
How much did that cost to fix?
No, it was nothing.
it was more wrap issue,
Yeah, it was more just
more
the
wrap damage.
I wrapped that car from head to toe. I wrapped the rims, the car, the windshield. I mean, I wrapped that thing from head to toe with a clear bra that's really tough and bulletproof almost.
It's like the ceramic. It's the ceramic clear ball.
So it wasn't that bad after all. It was just funny that, but,
Any close calls on the road with going fast?
yeah.
Lots.
Yeah.
No
Lots.
accidents though,
No.
None.
but just like
So close.
just so close.
So close. I slid the Porsche out a few times. The 911s, they get real fun with the back end. They're real playful cars, and they want to kind of kick and slide, and they're like little Broncos. And if you learn how to harness it and you don't overreact, and then you can have a really good time. But sometimes on the wrong turn, on the wrong gravel, you can kind of point a little too far in the wrong direction.
Yeah,
But
man.
it's all fun.
I've never driven that fast. I think 165 was the fastest I ever went. I had a E55 AMG Mercedes
Oh, I love that car.
back in
I
05.
love that car.
And I was headed out to Vegas, and I'm like, just with my wife, and it was at night, and someone told me, probably some lie, he's like, if you go out to Vegas and it's the night, no cops are going to pull you over because they have a deal with the casinos and bad
That's a
luck.
lie.
And
They
I'm
got
like,
you.
so I'm telling my wife this, and so I'm like, we can go as fast as we want. And I open it up, and I'm like, you look at the speedometer, and I'll look at the road, and we got 165.
That's pretty amazing
Yeah,
for
that's
a
pretty-
city street.
That's impressive.
It was the fastest four-door, I think, at the time,
Yeah.
back then.
I had the 05
He had the
C55,
C55, yeah.
but we supercharged it
Jeez.
with a
Well, that thing was Rentec from head to toe.
yeah, it was a
That thing
Rentec
yeah.
Cyclone, whenever supercharged it. It was pretty cool.
And mine had a governor on it where it wouldn't think, but then the guy at the dealership said, just floor it and just keep it down, and then it'll kick it out, and it did. So I was like,
Nice.
That's pretty badass.
I got rid of that car when my kids turned like 1 year old. I'm like, I'm not gonna. Except I didn't trust myself. I just loved to go fast all the time. So
Yeah,
That's
smart.
how I feel.
back to the networking thing, because I think this will help our listeners.
Yeah.
I agree. When you go to networking things, people are there for themselves. What can you tell listeners to kind of avoid being that guy? Like being that guy that's just trying to get something from people. Like what's a good technique, or just a good mindset to shift to? Because a lot of people do network, right?
I've learned that nobody does business with customers. They do business with business associates or business partners or
Friends
or consultants. But if you're a customer, you're now a customer. I would say there's a fine line when you're networking where, hey, use my merchant services and I'll let you come do bug spraying at my house.
Right.
All right, well, I'll be there next Tuesday. And then they're bug spraying, But, does a merchant account ever happen? No, maybe sometimes. But
Right.
I would say.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think also it's important to connect with people.
Yep.
And make friends with people. Show up with the intent of just making a bunch of friends. and get to know them and talk to them and find out what lights them up and what lights you up and what you guys have in common, and find like people that you actually vibe with and have a shared passion with, and then attack that together. Because you might meet 15 or 20 people, but only one of those people really stands out to you as like, I could talk to this person a lot more, right? And then you find that synergy, and then you can make something happen. And whether it's share each other's business and try to make money off of each other, or move forward with something new and exciting with each other. But I think getting to know each other, because so often you meet some people at these events and they want you to just like, they want to talk about their product. They want to borrow money from you, which is, everybody always wants to borrow money off you. And they beat around the bush, you know, and it comes down to like, they want partnerships and they want this and that, and they want all these things, and they have all these big grand schemes. And then when it comes time to pull the trigger, like, okay, well, can you fund this $200,000 operation? And then that's how, you know, so you have to be really cautious. That's why it's good to just make friends, enjoy yourself, and find synergy with somebody. If you're truly there to network and like that's really your goal, then find that real synergy and go out there and network that way. Yeah.
I would think like with the Lamborghini thing, with the like supercars, you know, those kind of people, you'd think that they would be a little bit more like, you know, they'd made it in life. And so they're just more like, I'll help you out. Like, you know,
that's kind of how it is.
It is. So
yeah.
That I'd resonate with, because I'm a part of a group called EO. Have you heard of EO?
I know EO. Yeah. My buddies in there.
And that's how they all are. I mean, we all are that way. It's like, how can we help each other versus like, you know, I want something from you. And so I think like getting into a group like that, where you have true peers, not where like you have, like you said, like with the supercars, you have the $1 million one and you have the $300,000 one, right? It's like, so there's big levels where, you know, you might want to talk to the guy with the $1 million one because, you know, your business is about to sell or you're raising capital. And, but I think at that level, it probably is a little different than, you know, the cheesy guy that's just trying to come get, you know, a sale from you, right? It's like a little more.
It's networked. Well, like you said, because, you know, some of these $300,000 cars are not that expensive on a lease program, monthly payments. Like you have people in there who
quite easy to
are like really trying to make something of themselves desperately, and like using these cars as a way to make it.
Fake it till you make it kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, you know,
sometimes that works.
Fake it till you make it is the way I've made everything in my life. I've made by faking it till I make it. I mean, that's just manifestation in action, you know.
But being genuine too.
But being genuine. Yeah.
Not being smoke and mirrors totally. Like there's a level of smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
I get it, because in essence, it's almost like the way I see, you know, success too is I see that like you have to have a vision for who you are 10 years from now. So 10 years ago, you guys had a vision probably of who you were today, and you still were the same person. You weren't, you know, it's just time hadn't passed yet. You're still that person. Like, you know, for me as being the CEO of my company 10 years ago, you know, we started the company, but even like say 15 years ago, 12 years ago, I knew I was a CEO of a company like this. It wasn't there yet, but I was still in that process. But so it wasn't like I was faking it, but I just knew who I was. You have to have that confidence, or you have to know that is attainable. It's not impossible. It's like who you're going to be, who you are today. Just time hasn't passed. And so I think with that kind of mentality, you can go into these situations where you're around people who have made it. They're just 10 years ahead of you, but you know, it doesn't mean you guys aren't on the same level, you know, with your mentality, with your, just kind of your destiny. What I'm trying to say. So I don't know. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that's another reason why it's important to talk to people and just get to know them, because you can find out who's on that level with you versus who's not. And I'm very destiny oriented. Like I believe in destiny. I believe in the gifts of my past, like divine passages bringing me places. And I know I have so much coming in 10 more years and 10 after that. Mm-hmm. And it's so exciting, and I'm super excited for it now, even though it hasn't happened yet, because time is not linear. We create it linear, but everything I think I'm going to have in 10 years from now, I already have. Yeah. You know, it's already here. I'm just waiting for it to manifest in front of me, but I already have it. Yep. And so, you know, I love that energy and that vibe, and that is what I love about a lot of these other, like the EO that you're in, I have a lot of good friends in there. In fact, we did this financial thing a few years ago, and my first, I think, 20 clients on this financial thing were all from the EO. And it was basically, I hooked one guy up with this really amazing thing, and he was like, oh, I got to tell my friends. And I basically, and I'm looking, you have to give me all your business documents. I'm looking, and these EO guys are crushing it. Like every single business that came to my plate from that group was gorgeous. I can't say that about these supercar clubs that we've been in. I can't, like some of these guys are going bankrupt right now and they're just hanging on to anything they can. And there's just like all these different levels to that. But you found a really good program to be a part of. I'm not in it, but I know
it does have a high barrier of entry because you have to have financials that you have audited, and then those have to go in, and you have to have a certain level. So, the mortgage business just took a shit, right? We had the shittiest rates, and I call it the interest rate apocalypse, right? It's like terrible. But, so there was a moment where I was like, am I going to get kicked out of EO because I had a loss last year? And I quickly found out it's more on your top line revenue. So you have to hit good revenue. You have to have some level of also level of revenue on the bottom. But, if you have a loss year down year, they don't kick you out, which is great. But yeah, that's probably why, I think, because with a supercar, you just have to have a supercar, right?
Have to have a car.
Yeah.
And then I think they probably do some kind of interview.
They interview you as a human being, but not financials.
Right.
You could be anybody.
And people can be kind of put a fake smile on and act like, they're not a douchebag or whatever.
Yeah. That's why we just ride together now. You want to do a rally? Yeah, I'll do a rally with you.
we have more funds, and we get to higher speeds when it's just me and him racing through the mountains anyway. When there's 50 cars, you got to pass the slow drivers. It could take you an hour to get to the front of the line, and then by then you might have 2 rocks in your windshield. And I busted a radiator out with the rallies. But when me and Eric hit the mountains, it's just fun and fast.
That's cool.
So
that's awesome. And you guys are thrill seekers, right?
Yeah.
Talk about that.
It's got to come from gunfights, and it's got,
I couldn't trace it back. I feel like when
it's got to.
Yeah, we had a lot of adrenaline-inducing activities when we were younger, just based on the life we were living. But also, if I go back even further, I do recall that there was a few times where we were like dying with purple lips because we had some weird lung thing, maybe asthma. But and I'm thinking the shot that used to get us back to reality was adrenaline.
Oh yeah.
And so
EpiPen.
I'm wondering if maybe
you'd actually take
asthma attack, purple lips. They'd come in.
We'd be like hard asthma attacks, like purple, can't breathe, like you need to go to the hospital, and then they shoot you with something that just
adrenaline rush.
Good, yeah. So that also could have been something to do with it, but then then the life that we led after that just also had to have adrenaline. But I definitely do. We
like skydiving, bungee jumping, all that stuff too.
We do, dirt bikes, motorcycles, paragliders, things like that.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's just whatever we can do to stay awake.
Live each day at the fullest, right?
Yeah,
to the max.
It's kind of like, for me, being a cancer survivor, I'm like, and almost dying at 25 years old because of that. I just think of every day as a gift.
Yeah, me too.
And so it's like, I do things a little differently than some people, and people wonder why, and it's like, well, it's because I got an extra day. Every day I got an extra day. I'm gonna do something cool. Try to do something. I'm not thrill seeker, but I do love experiences, traveling, and so I think you guys are onto something cool. You guys do some philanthropy, right?
Yeah.
Talk about that.
Yeah, because we used to go out on Thanksgiving and give food out to homeless, and then we had a bunch of homeless people that didn't want food. And then so we started giving out socks. This is like 20 years ago.
What's up with homeless people not wanting food?
Because
that's like the biggest thing that's a shock. Like when I first did it,
that, right?
I had a guy throw a sandwich in my face. Yeah. We made all these sandwiches. I'm like, I think 18 at the time. We were in Hollywood, and I hand this guy a sandwich, and he looks at it, takes one bite, staring at me, and just threw it in my face. I was like, okay, I'm done with this.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, keep going.
Yeah, I could break down a million reasons why a lot of these guys have mental problems, so they're on medication, the medications and drugs and stuff. But yeah, they don't want the food. So then we transitioned into socks, and then we started making these blessing bags, and everybody loved the blessing bags.
Yeah, it was gloves, beanies, socks,
blankets,
emergency blankets, vitamin C. water.
Yeah.
I narrowed it down to where like each bag was $25 to really fill up with all the stuff. And then we would just raise money to see how many bags we could get. We'd get 300 bags.
That's cool.
And then it transitioned to college scholarship money. And
That's
so
cool.
what I would do is sit in on scholarship meetings. I would just sort of crash a scholarship meeting. And what they do, they don't pick the way I would pick. So you go to these scholarship meetings and all these bright pupils, these apt pupils come in and they tell you all about how they have a 4.5 GPA and this and that, and they're on the track team and the football
All
team
the
and ballet
AP
dancers.
classes and
like,
extra credit. Yeah.
and it's like, we get a background of their whole history and their whole story. And so it's like, the last one I sat in on, the woman that got the scholarship, very bright young lady. She's going to go to Harvard. She's going to make very powerful changes in the world. And she deserved the scholarship. I don't want to say she didn't.
Sure.
But she also had her mom and dad at home. They were driving her to and from all of her events and clubs, making sure she had her 3 meals a day. There was another girl in there who was a single mom, or was being raised by a single mom, but the mom had some kind of like an illness and couldn't take care of herself. And so she stepped in to be her mom's caretaker to get money from the state. So she has to take care of her mom, feed her mom 3 meals a day, help her mom get cleaned up and dressed, do all the laundry, clean the house, all this stuff. But while she's doing that for her mom, she's a track star, straight A student, 4.5 GPA, just like the other girl had. But I feel like she had to work a little bit harder, riding her bike to school. And it's like, holy shit, how did she not get the scholarship? Wow. Like, I get that the other girl got into Harvard and this one only got into UCLA. But like, how did she not get it?
Yeah.
And so that's where I came in and started raising money. So now I've started a scholarship fund called Love is Contagious. And I raise money just once a year and give it to people who I think truly earned the scholarship and should have free college versus the one who looks better on paper.
That's cool.
So it's really fun, and it revolves around me getting through college on my own and being forced like I'm a victim here. I was forced to sell cocaine to graduate college, everybody. But like I had to get through school. And when you're taking 5 solids, you don't have any free time.
Yep.
5 solids is a 12-hour day with all the homework and the reading and the writing and all the stuff. And so, to do that and work a job, which I did work a job. I was getting $50 paychecks, and so Anthony was in the Air Force. He was sending me, every time he got paid, I had his checkbook and he was like, once a month, just go spend $200 of my money. I'm like spending his Air Force money. He wasn't getting rich in the Air Force.
No, they kept me poor.
Yeah.
Like I had beer money.
Yeah.
For the chow hall.
And I'm using half of it, just the whole thing. But so that's where the philanthropy comes in is I don't feel holier than thou. I don't talk about it to people. I don't usually tell people about it unless I'm asking for money for it. But yeah, it's a big part of my life.
It's cool.
Yeah.
How does someone find that online?
You have to wait for me to. Yeah, I need to make a page. Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah,
we'll put a link to it on the podcast when you get it out or whatever.
So my website, awesome. erickarnezis.com. I try to share as much as I can through that or my Instagram page. And so when I try to just raise money 1 month a year, and I go really hard. What I'd like to do is have a running. Just, I've got the 501 set up. I've got everything set up. So I want to set up a way to just have a running annual thing. But
that's cool.
Yeah.
It'd be cool to see, like, to have a collective that gets to see these stories. And then, I want to chip into that person's college fund.
Yeah, right.
That'd be cool to do. So you guys have been twins all your life, of course.
Yeah.
I'm sure you have some stories. I eventually want to write a book about twins because, and do it like a collective book from like different people who've had twins.
Oh, that'd be sick.
For parents that are expecting twins, right? So you probably have a couple of cool stories of, being twins that you could share. Maybe share one that maybe each of you have one, a different story, but
I'll say it's been weird because I haven't been a twin my whole life. See, I was born first, right? So I was a beautiful single child with the whole world at my fingertips. And
until
then
he came along.
46 seconds later, this guy came along, stealing all my resources.
Yeah.
And so now here we are. But yeah, I don't know. Shoot.
I mean, identical is so much different than fraternal.
Yeah.
Even though the funniest question I get still to this day, people say, "Oh, you have twins." I'm like, "Yeah, boy, girl twins." They go, "Are they identical?" And I just kind of stare at them and I just change the subject. It's like,
we've had to give the lecture so much. Well, monozygotic means the same egg cut in half.
yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah, they think
Women and men
means,
are not the same. They're
Yeah.
different.
can't be the same egg there.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was. I remember just one they wanted to confuse people, and people learned to tell us apart in school, back in the school age days, because of our shoes. Because back then we both had the same blonde hair, the same long parted down the middle. We dressed similar. We were poor. We had one outfit each, probably black pants and a flannel or something. So we pretty much, you'd never know who you're talking to, except for our shoes. And so sometimes we would just switch them. Like we wouldn't take them both off. I would take his right, and he would take my right. And so I'd have one
Just
of
to
each
keep
shoe
people
on.
confused. Keep
And
them in the dark.
It was always fun to be like, okay, well, do you know who I am now? You'd go up to your best friend,
Yeah.
like, you know who you're talking to? Find out if they're really your friend or not, if they've been looking at your shoes for a year.
Yeah.
But that was always fun, switching things up like that.
I think one of my favorite stories was when we were locked up because we switched cells in jail.
No way.
Yeah,
We got
we
deep.
had court's a month apart. We were co-defendants, so we were completely separated in jail. We couldn't see each other. We'd only see each other 5 minutes before court, and then as soon as court was over, they'd take us back. And so one day we're there, and court got delayed a week. It was like 5 days till the next court date because it was just delayed. It wasn't a new 30-day out. And so we switched wristbands, and we went to check out each other's houses. And so I lived in his cell for a week with his cellmate and ate all his commissary, and he stayed in my cell with my cellmate, ate all my commissary. And then when we went to court 5 days later, we switched back.
He couldn't
and went
wait
home.
to switch back.
I couldn't wait. I was living the dream.
My cell was hood.
Yeah,
I was in the hood, but
he was-
his area was really nice.
And I had a clean cellmate, and we kept it spotless. And I hung pictures on the wall that I painted myself. At his place he was in the ghetto, but I couldn't wait to get home. So I get back in my cell. We got away with it, and it was pretty amazing. And then later on, someone told on us, and we got in trouble. But that experience was pretty cool.
It was cool to be able to switch like that. It was really fun. It was a way to like make a situation where you're kind of trapped and you're stuck and you're bored, and it kind of allowed us to have a little bit of excitement, and it was kind of bonding because I got to see where Eric lived and what view was out his window. He got to see the trains coming. I didn't have a train on my side. My side looked at a wall, and then you could see a dove occasionally.
Yeah, it was boring.
It was pretty.
How long
boring.
were you guys in?
7 months, 8 months.
Yeah.
Was that? Did that feel long?
It felt long because we were facing 10 years in prison.
Ooh,
Yeah.
So
we
when you're
thought-
facing 10 years and you don't think you're ever going to get out, and then you have to survive, and you're like, okay, I could be here for the next 40 years because I'm not
Jeez.
going to get raped. I'm going to kill somebody.
Yeah.
And so you start thinking you're playing it out, and
you start
just,
learning things.
You just don't know. And then we just got lucky because we got the 10 years. They gave us 10 years in prison, and then they suspended it and let us go on time served with probation. And so, because it was like we were still minors, it was a first offense, and they just, what a blessing. Like the judge looked out for us. If we did anything wrong, we would have done the 10 years. If we did anything wrong during that 5-year probation. But yeah, so we thought we were going to do 10 years up until the day they said, you guys can go. And so we were just like,
that
stunned.
last court appearance was a tough one.
was
I didn't
crazy.
sleep at all.
Yeah.
Wow.
Did not sleep the night
We
before.
thought we were goners. And then when they said 10 years, like my heart sank. And then they said suspended. And I looked at my lawyer like, what does suspended mean? And he was like, it means you're going home.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What a gnarly
It was the highs and lows
roller
of that.
coaster.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Did you guys celebrate that night? Go get some beers and
So I get out of jail. We celebrate. I got arrested with a pack of Newports. So if we get out of jail, we're like, oh, I haven't smoked in months. I get out of jail, pull out. Not only do we smoke a cigarette for the first time in months, but they're stale.
Oh, yeah, it's so nasty.
Fucking hell. We literally were
And it was
like
a Newport.
green and nauseous instantly. I remember
Yeah,
I
it
threw
was
the
sick.
pack in the garbage. I was like, never again. And they released us in paper jumpsuits because our outfits
Our clothes were
evidence.
evidence at the time. Yeah.
So we're like wearing these baby blue paper jumpsuits. We look like Smurfs running around, green faced, vomiting with cigarettes. Like what
wearing
the hell are we thinking?
my jail shower shoes, my flip flops.
It was rough. But,
and then what do? How do you get regular clothes? Do you just go to the thrift store or like what?
yeah, we had really good friends in high school. I'm pretty sure somebody picked us up from jail that day and gave us clothes to wear. And then another friend of mine, super wealthy. Remember little Dave. He threw a huge barbecue at his house. We swam in his pool, ate really good steaks, and just like had like a beautiful.
We had some good friends. I at the time had been making some decent money on ecstasy sales, and so when I left, I had a pretty fat wad hidden in my apartment. So my best friend broke into the apartment, took the cash, and held it until they lowered our bail because we had bail that was too high. But in the meantime, I had already had a storage unit with random stuff in it with clothes and stuff. And I think, pretty sure he maintained that bill for me. I think he went there, he went to the storage unit with my money and he paid for a few months at a time. And so we did
so you
eventually.
had some stuff when you.
Yeah.
It was a blessing. We got evicted from our apartment and we had just put everything in storage the night that we got locked up. Like fortuitous. Or maybe we were just self-destructive at that point, but we literally were evicted, apartment cleaned out,
and then for some reason I had my money, and I even though the apartment was empty and cleaned out, like I remember breaking the air conditioner apart and shoving money into the air conditioner and closing it up before we went to go do this crime. I don't know what I was thinking, but it all just kind of worked out.
Wow,
it really did.
So how do you tell your friend that the money's there? Like, were you on a like?
Yeah, I was on the phone. I was on the jail phone.
And they listen?
I don't care. I was like, hey, you got to go to the apartment I'm evicted from. Remember? And then I remember saying, do you remember how we used to break in? Because sometimes we'd lock ourselves out. We were just kids. And he knew how to break in the window. And I was like, go in there, remove the face of the air conditioner, and there's something in there I need you to take for me. He did it.
And no one followed him or anything. You think like
that's funny.
They're listening in. And
you think they probably. You go there, the money's gone.
Whatever.
Like, no one knew about the money.
So what are you guys doing now? You guys were in the mortgage business. You guys have obviously had a lot of success.
Yeah.
Houses in San Diego and
Sedona now.
Sedona.
Yep.
What are you guys doing for money?
Well, we still have our financial company, which is our baby. We built it for the last 20 years, never going to let that go. But we just started a power company doing sort of renewable energy sources like solar for residential, solar for industrial, and EV charging for the electric cars. And so we're doing this whole solar push, which is like really just a change of pace is all we were looking for. The financial industry is we've been doing it since 2005, since our mortgage company. And it's just financial banking. It just gets boring after a while. And so we spice things up with that.
What's the name of the financial company?
Fifth Wall Energy.
Cool.
Yeah, Fifth Wall Energy. We are partnered with amazing man that you've interviewed before. Adam Rutz, retired Navy SEAL. Mm-hmm. And he brings a lot of that Navy SEAL structure and energy, or I'd say energy. Yep. And then Anthony's got that military structure. And then I'm just happy to be here.
That's cool.
Yeah, I bring a
the
lot.
Charm and the
I bring founder energy. I've built a lot of things, and so it's exciting to step into a new space and do a new thing. And we have our own EU or EO that we have. It's unofficial, but it's just us and a couple multimillionaire friends of ours, and cool. And we all get together once a month and discuss what are we having trouble with in business, so that we can discuss it as a team, and what's blowing up for us unexpectedly, so that we can make sure that we're all blowing up together. So we talk through our problems and our excitement, and we hold each other accountable. And so we have like a whole thing that we're doing that's pretty fun.
That's cool.
Yeah,
it's really nice.
Awesome. So what would you say kind of summarizes your lessons you've learned from going to prison or jail? Was it jail or prison? Jail. Different.
Yeah, it is very different.
Growing up, all the hard times, like how could you summarize that, like lessons learned? I'm sure there's a ton, but is there any like something that stands out?
Yeah.
I would just say always keep your eyes on the end result. There's always going to be a down and an up. And when it's down, it could be dark. It could look further and further away than ever before. It could look like you just want to curl up in a ball and not do anything. But just keep your eye on the prize and keep trucking forward, because if you just sit there, it's only going to get worse.
Right.
Just keep trucking. You're going to get where you want to go. If you keep your eye on it, you'll get there. Yeah.
I keep thinking how like time, just a lot of stuff is just time. You like go in the cold plunge and it's fucking cold.
Yeah.
But it's just time. It's like 30 seconds and then it starts getting better.
Yeah. Once you get those couple
Once you're
Breaths
numb,
out.
you know, and then you're like, okay, this is all right. And then you feel the euphoria from the, you know, the cold and all that and the breath. And it's just the hard, you know, the hard stuff is just time. It's just how long can you handle it, right? Like being in the military, you probably had to deal with some shit too, that just like time, like you just got to make it to the end of this, you know, this run or whatever it is, right? This battle or this thing, you know, you get it. And then that time comes and it always does. Just like the next day will always show up, you know. What about you?
Yeah, I think nobody knows your dharma, your purpose in life except for you.
Yeah.
And so learning to trust yourself and figure out your own answers is the most important part. So many people are going to want to tell you how things are supposed to be done and what you should do to make money. You should invest in crypto. You should buy these houses. And once you buy the house, never, ever sell it and buy a house a year. And all these things that people will tell you. And at the end of the day, like, what's in your rhythm? What's in your energy? What do you feel like you want to do? And what's going to light you up?
Yep.
Right. And so only you have the answer. So stop seeking answers from outside sources. Find the answers from within yourself and take action on those answers. And as long as you're making your decisions from the heart and not the mind, then you know you've made the right decision.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yep. It's a lot of life, you know, life lessons teach you, you know, the grit, right? The ability to keep pushing forward during those hard times is priceless. I think that's why, like, I wouldn't change a thing. And I know that's probably why you guys wouldn't change a thing. Cause it's like, you know, you're not soft. You can handle stuff. You can, and like, you know, I think about like my kids, cause like they've had a pretty easy life, you know, being my kids, right? Like they got a great mom and the mom's always, you know, there for them. She doesn't work. But like, you know, I think people, they desire, we all kind of desire some struggle, you know, in some ways. Like obviously I don't want my kids to be homeless, right? Like, so I do everything I can to keep them from there. But my son wants to go hunting. He wants to get up early and goes lobster diving. He wants to do some hard shit. And I'm like, I just smile and I'm like proud. I'm like, yeah, I could see where he's like, you want a little grit, you want a little pushback and you know, the people that have gone through the hardest things in life sometimes, you know, achieve the highest because they go the depths and it just takes a lot of that hard grit to get there, you know?
Yep.
And that the vision, the boards, you know, from just even now, like if someone's 50 and they could start putting a dream board together and start imagining their future and imagining themselves in 5 years and they can do it. A lot of people have done that still.
Oh, God, there's nothing that you can't accomplish in a decade of time.
Yep.
I mean, the 10-year from now version of yourself, you can't even imagine what kind of growth that is.
Right.
I mean, whatever you can dream, you can achieve.
Yep.
It's beautiful. And it is funny, the addiction to the suffering and the pain. It's like, because the people that haven't had it, they feel like they're missing some self-importance or something. Like there's something, or their soul is wants to test them or something. But it's funny to see. I love that your son's doing that.
Yeah. And unfortunately, my daughter's got like these kidney stones. So which is so rare for a young girl. Like, yeah. So she's going through hardship too without even, you know, trying or wanting it, but it's definitely testing her and making her stronger for sure. So you guys have a podcast?
I just started one. It's going to be called Golden Scissors.
Nice.
I took advice from somebody who was like, "Oh, make sure you film like 20 episodes before you launch it." So I've been filming episodes, and recording my Audible, and so I'm trying to get the Audible done because everybody's like asking for it, and then the podcast, and so the podcast will be launching next month. Golden Scissors,
awesome,
and the Audible should be launching right alongside it.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So we'll put a link to that too as well. Any other big challenges you guys have going
on? Challenges? No, I mean, spiritual stuff. You know, I moved to Sedona to work on some soul work, and I've been shedding a lot of old skins and finding a deeper sense of purpose. And, you know, other than just making money and building businesses, there's something there for the strength of my reincarnated soul as it comes back every time, you know, and growth from within that I'm working on. And there's challenges in that. There's shadow work and facing demons and making hard decisions because the old version of yourself doesn't go with the new version. So like this hotshot salesperson that builds these big, call centers and sales teams and all these things, like the direction I'm headed now, I'm not really in a position. I don't really want to have these hard ass conversations because we were boiler room status for 20 years. We've been boiler room status, and we shove sales down your throat and we close you and we make we make the sale.
Right.
And I'm finding that there's more finesse and more grace in my soul these days, and more love in my soul, and I just am challenged with managing all of these amazing businesses and managing this amazing soul of mine and trying to put these two together like a square and a circle, And so there's some challenges there. Nothing I can't get through and nothing that I'm unhappy with. That's for sure. But I would say that'd probably be the only challenge I face right now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Not bad. It's beautiful. It's just growth.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm the same way. You're not going to catch me in a call center anymore.
Yeah.
Did boiler room for plenty of time.
Those times have passed.
Yeah,
They were fun though. You gotta admit that.
Good times, and it was life changing.
Yeah.
I also moved to Sedona. I'm on a spiritual journey myself, but I'm also at the same time, I'm building a family, and I have a 6-month-old daughter right now.
Congrats.
Some step boys. My lady's at home right now. So just business and family, and just trying to figure out just making sure that while we build wealth, we're also building true wealth too.
Yep.
Like you want to have the love and the family and the people around you, and you want to work on your soul growth too, and all that stuff. And so and your health, eating right, exercising. I mean, all the real wealth stuff that makes the other wealth more fun. Because what's the point of having money if you can't spend it with your family or go swim in a faraway lake because you're healthy and happy, and like what's the point of any of it? So, that's it. Just the only challenge is when do I stop and just play for the rest of my life? Yeah, when is that?
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Well, I'm sure you can imagine it.
Yeah, well, I can.
Future, yeah.
Trust me, I can.
That's awesome. How do people find you online? Instagram.
Yeah, Instagram's the best for me. I'm the most active on there. It's just Eric_Karnezis. And that's where I talk about my book. It's where I talk about my philanthropy stuff when the time comes. And sort of all of those aspects of my life are in there.
Nice.
So, yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, I'm pretty much, I'm usually in the background and stuff. I'm not too active. But I do have an Instagram. It's Anthony_Karnezis. And then, other than that, I'm just usually working, grinding, or playing.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah. So
They're thrill seeking, right?
yeah.
Driving the Harleys or the McLaren.
Just whatever.
Paragliders.
Nice.
Nothing beats being 17,000 feet in the air.
I want to try
Hanging
that.
from a
I've
dam.
never tried a paraglide. I've done the, what do you call it when you're behind a boat and you're in Cancun?
Yeah, parasailing.
Parasailing.
Yeah.
That's
Done
cool.
that. That was cool.
Yep, same but different.
Paragliding is soul changing.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
Because you're in control, kind of. The wind's in control.
the wind's in control. You got to ride updrafts up. You ride winds out. The eagles will come fly with you and come say hi. It's just unbelievable. It's the noises, the smells. You could be a mile up and you could smell a barbecue happening, or you could hear 2 people whispering in an alley. It's like the randomest things come and flow.
That's cool.
You'll be going, and all of a sudden, you'll be in an updraft climbing, and there'll be all of a sudden a bug or a beetle's floating up and pops out. Like the updraft sucked a bug off the ground and it brought it a mile up. Like,
Wow.
It's just, and at the same
That's
time,
cool.
you're so in tune with your inner self, and you can almost close your eyes and just you can feel the air and the world and the movements, and you can sniff out like where the direction you're being sucked, where the lift might be. It puts you in touch with yourself, like your inner self. It's true meditation.
That's cool.
There's a place you can go, eagle paragliding in Santa Barbara.
Okay.
They say that the same day you show up, if you take like a little 1-day session with them, the same day you show up, you'll fly.
You
So
will.
you spend like 4 or 5 hours with the rented stuff, figuring it all out, and then they train you on a bunny hill. And by the end of the day, you're launching this bunny hill, and it's amazing. And so if
That's
you ever
cool.
wanted to experience it,
Unbelievable.
just a couple $100, you go spend
That's
the day
cool.
in
Go up to Santa
Barbara.
Barbara.
We
and
got 4
just-
launches our first day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
You spend 4
so.
hours training. We got 4 launches. Not everybody gets 4 launches, but you can get 4. And then if you love it,
Then you spend your
Take-
$15,000.
And you're just constantly spending money doing it. I almost did it one time in La Jolla, and then I think the wind wasn't right, and so I didn't get to do it, and then I never tried again.
Yeah,
That was like 10 years ago.
ridge soaring is fun. That's laminar air. It seems so dangerous there. People run into each other all the time. That place is boy.
Plus, isn't that more of a parachute thing, or is it?
That's what it is.
It is, okay.
That's the same
Parachute,
thing.
yeah.
It's just that those
I
guys.
thought it was more like a glider thing. What's that?
That's hang gliding.
Hang gliding. Okay, that's different.
That's so 80s. The only people that hang glide are like 70 years old. Well, yeah, there's no young hang gliders.
they can launch in higher wind.
Yeah,
They have some benefits, some
Yeah.
perks to that, but paragliding is where it's at.
yeah.
Okay.
It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
That's
but
cool.
Yeah.
I'll have to
Look
see if I can
into
put that on my
Yeah,
my
you
dream
should.
dream board. Yeah.
it. Yep.
Don't
I
start
love
till
new
you
experience.
got. Don't start till you got plenty of free time because it will
Yeah.
take you.
Yeah.
We
Wow.
we started, and then for 3 years we were lost in it. We didn't do
Wow.
anything else.
Wow, that's cool
We
though.
just get lost.
It's probably soul healing in a way, like kind of
Oh,
like
it is so
truly.
much.
just being up there. I can
Yeah.
imagine. Yeah, that's cool. Well, cool. Thank you guys for coming on. It's
Yeah,
been
thanks
really,
for having us.
It was
really cool.
awesome. I don't normally jump in on.
First time
Serious.
with Anthony. That's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
you did good, dude.
Yeah, it's pretty cool
Yeah.
being here.
Good.
Thank you. I appreciate
That's
the
awesome.
invite. It's awesome.
All right, and everyone listening and watching, please like, share, subscribe, follow these guys, and comment. Let us know what you want to hear on the next podcast. Let us know what you're listening to, and we'll see you on the next one. The $1 Million Mortgage Experience Podcast.